Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the Frontline Changes report for the past 24 hours, and we have crazy amount of frontline changes. How do I show you the? Let me show you. No, this is not the one. You can see this whole list here. This is all the frontline changes. There's a lot of frontline changes today. So yeah, maybe this is the part of the constipation releasing. Definitely not all, because I will show you later why it's not all. So we're going to start off with the frontline changes over at the Lyman front. And you can see we jump straight to Lyman. There is no Sumy, no Kharkiv, no Voreshna France. So definitely partial constipation release. So over in the Karpivka region, we have developed a new impossible salient. So Ukrainian mapping, Deep State UA have mapped that the Russian forces have advanced south of Karpivka. And the Russian forces captured some forests and then tree lines and go into the gully heading into the south of Karpivka. And previously, we already have geolocation of Russian forces attacking from Rikuduk into the north of Karpivka. So we have this impossible salient developing, or rather developed already. So yeah, so that's what happened here. This advance here is around at the maximum 4 kilometers. So the Ukrainian forces probably have struggled to defend this place. I forgot when this is the last time we made this frontline change here. I think quite some time ago, I guess. So this advance may not be a 24-hour advance. It could be something that happened quite some time ago, over a longer period of time, where the Russian forces attack in this way, moving up north. And of course, this front line is a confirmed capture according to the Ukrainian mapping. There is gray zones all over the place, which means that there is also possibility that the Russian forces has already penetrated all of these places, but the Ukrainians refuse to acknowledge that the Russians have already have presence all around here. So just note that the Ukrainian mapping, when I said Ukrainian mapping or Deep State UA, the mapping that they have mapped is firm Russian control. The Russians may be all around the region here, where they refuse to acknowledge the capture. So that is the main gist. Karpivka is in massive danger. I can see the Russian forces already attacking in multiple directions. So yeah, this is definitely going to fall soon by the look of it. So that is the frontline change at Karpivka. Another one is over at Torske. So this one is a geolocation. Russian forces surprisingly appear in the moving south from the ground that we still mark as Russian control. They have attacked south, and based on this geolocation and due to the way how the terrain here works, all this territory, all these open grounds on the east should be under Russian control. No Ukrainian forces should be around there, and so the Russians have pushed south. This, as mentioned in the situation report yesterday, that this is a surprise. Of course, it's not a yesterday if you are in United States, but for me it's yesterday. So it's a bit of a surprise because the Ukrainian forces previously was doing this counter attack, and they have succeeded in taking back some grounds. But somehow the Russians still managed to push south. So this region here now is a question: did the Russians take it back? We do not know. The next, so the advance south is around 1.2 kilometers. And the front line all the way to the west is 3 kilometers. So this is a pretty big chunk here. Oh, I just realized I forgot to put the numbers out. Wait. Yeah, so I've I put up the numbers. I forgot to put it up. So that's all from Torske. The next frontline change is over at Dibrova. So this is Dibrova. The old timers that have been watching DPA for a long time should be quite familiar with Dibrova. There's always fighting around here. And so this time around, we have a Ukrainian mapping updated that the Russian forces have confirmed to have captured this part of the forest northwest of Dibrova. So it's pretty arbitrary, I would say. We can't possibly know for sure what the front line actually is in the forest. So this is probably just them estimating where the front line is right now. But yeah, it's still advanced. North to south is around 1.3 kilometers. East to west, for this front line change is around 3.47 kilometers. Very big as well. So but the forest is gigantic. This is a gigantic forest, so you're gonna wait and see how this continue to develop on. So after this frontline chain at Dibrova, the next frontline chain we jump all the way to Toretsk front. So this is Toretsk, and over in the Bilahorivka region. So previously we have reported that the Russian Defense Ministry has announced the capture of Bilahorivka. They have announced that, and then and we cannot fully corroborate the capture. We only have two locations up to this point. There was this region here, this small little street that is not confirmed. Now we have confirmation. Geolocation. The Russian forces heard DPA's report and say that, oh freaking hell, this wire is an asshole, and then they decided to plant the flag right at the very end of the street, just to tell me that I'm an asshole. So no, yeah, I'm so sorry, but no, I'm doing my job, so it is what it is, and the Russian forces have taken the rest of the street, confirming the full capture of Bilahorivka, and as such, we have give the flag to the Russians, and I hope that the Russian soldiers are happy now, and stop cursing me in Russian, this wire, blah, wire, okay, so this blight. Anyway, so this is the advance. The advance is around 500 meters at most. The Russian mapping has updated the map up to this point. The Ukrainian mapping only up the map to this point. So it's just some open ground. They just straighten the front line. But the Russian mapping has claimed that everything south of this geolocation is under Russian control. All the tree lines is entirely under Russian control, which I believe should be the case. I don't think this is surprising in any sense. I think it does make sense. If the Ukrainians stay on this tree line, then it is pretty suicidal. But yeah, so that's the advance. North to south is around 2.3 kilometers. From east to west is around maybe 1.2 kilometers. So this is a pretty big advance as well. So the entire strategic posture here has changed. This is a very big change. Like, once upon a time we were here, just in case you do not remember. So now we have this thorn suddenly just appear here. There's a thorn appearing here. So this is going to change a lot of things. The Russians could potentially push and do the blockade to the southeast, and then they can attack into Ivanopilia from the rear, collapsing the entire front line here. This is something that I have spoke of, this tactic as or this strategy. I spoke of this like 2 years ago, quite some time ago. At that, I say that this is a weak spot. If the Russians cut off the road here, then the New York front will be in severe danger, and this does not change. The strategic, the terrain here, the geography don't change. Russian forces cutting off here, the entire front line here will be in freaking danger. The Russians already has basically effectively cut this road based on the presence here. So the entire front line will just collapse if the Russians continue to push on from this area. Oh shit, I shouldn't do analysis, but just in case you do not know. So so Frontline Changes report, I try not to do analysis, And we move on to, after this area, the next frontline change is over Leonivka. So according to the Ukrainian mapping, Deep State UA have mapped that the Russian forces had a more advanced position west of Leonivka. So this area here is captured by the Russian forces, potentially has already taken this fortification here. The advance is around 600 meters. And this salient here is very suicidal as well. If any Ukrainian forces or soldiers are getting deployed here, this is a one-way trip. Unfortunately, I don't think this is very survivable here. It's super far away from the next safe zone, because these are all front lines. These are all front line. Where is safe? There's nowhere safe. Nowhere close is safe. Maybe Klabambik, maybe, and then you have to resupply in one big round or rotate. It's just crazy. It's just crazy that you're not on an offensive and then you try to defend this kind of salient is suicidal. I don't know. Like, if you play computer games, you will never defend like this, right? 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 No, don't make sense, right? If you're playing a computer game, you consolidate your troops, uh, and defend on the more defendable line. No, you will not do this kind of crazy defensive line. No, this is just waiting for your troops to get destroyed. Anyway, after this frontline change at Leonivka, the next frontline change is at Mayak. So so in this region here, this is looking really getting more and more ugly. I do not know what kind of creature is this, but the so the Russian forces has basically conquered most of Pokrovsk and the entire west of Toretsk, and they have conquered the forest, the fortification, up the tree line into and advancing into Mayak. And this is a significant frontline advance. This is a very big one because so many locations that the Ukrainians could have built a defense line, and every one of them has been overrun. And this advance is around 3 kilometers. At the shortest point is 2 kilometers, which means the Ukrainians did not defend at all. They have abandoned the position entirely. So this is a very significant frontline change, if you ask me. And we have already the Russians announcing the capture of Mayak since the 14th actually. So it's quite some time ago. I'm not sure how we only like now the mapping has only just arrived at Mayak. So I'm not sure what is next from this point on. I think this claim of capture might be premature. Maybe the Russian forces on the ground has tried to scam their superiors, telling them that they have captured Mayak, but they actually didn't. There's a good chance that might be the case because there is no fighting at Pankivka and no fighting at Nikanorivka for some time. So yeah, and Volodymyrivka either, it's like the last report was on the 14th. So basically, I think that's pretty scammy from the forces on the ground, false reporting to the, maybe to get bonuses or whatnot. I'm not sure, but now it's confirmed. This is based on Ukrainian mapping. Over in the south of that position at Fedorivka, we have confirmation that the Russians have captured Fedorivka. Based on the latest mapping from the Ukrainian mapping as well, they have expanded the zone of control around Fedorivka with the Russian forces securing Fedorivka. The advance is around 1 kilometer, which means that this region here might have more resistance. The Ukrainian forces may be at Zatishok, maybe in some of these fortifications around here. And of course the south is a bit more more populated. So the Russians are now pushing and penetrating into a much more stronger defense line. But the fact that they still advance is very concerning. It's one after another. You can see one after another. So and combined it's around 2 kilometers over 2 days. So they are resisting, but they are failing to hold back the Russians, and the Russians are pushing in the direction of Rodinsk. So once the Russian cut, problem. So I don't want to go too much analysis. Anyway, after this Fedorivka, the next frontline change, we jump to Bohdanivka over in the Komar front. So this Komar, and over at the very eastern end of the Komar front, north of Oleksievka, we have this massive big frontline change where the Ukrainian forces, the Ukrainian mapping accepted that the Russian forces have advanced. This created a very weird salient here, which is impossible. I don't think this is survivable. And in fact, this salient here in the south is also rather impossible because this is vertical tree lines. No, this is a vertical tree lines. And how do you going to like resupply? Like, are you going to just go through the open grounds? So it's basically impossible as well. This is also impossible salient. So I expect all these things to collapse. And so this advance, the advance is 3.7 kilometers. Clearly, this is or at least 3.5, 2.3. So we this is clearly just Russians taking over abandoned positions, in my opinion. This is very impossible to defend. The Russians already claimed the capture of Horikove, so the front line may actually look something like this, or at least something like this, something more organic than this kind of a ridiculous front line that we have on our mapping. So that's the front line change here. We go next to north of Zerka. So over at Khrushchevsky, the Ukrainian mapping have updated to consider that they have lost Khrushchevsky to the Russian forces. So Russian forces have basically secured Khrushchevsky, although I think the front line may be much further because the Russians did capture Novohatsky. Khrushchevsky is almost a given that is getting captured, and the front line should be much further away. So that's the Khrushchevsky. I don't think the Russians fought much. The frontline change is very arbitrary. It's only 1 kilometer, but the Ukrainians probably just reduced. I think the front line. I don't even think the Ukrainians are in this forest. My feeling is that the Russians have already secured everything here. This is what I think. So a lot more big frontline changes is expected, but the Ukrainians clearly will ration it, as what they have done over here in Komar. So this is the impossible salient here. We have been waiting for the Russians to for the Ukrainians to concede, and they only concede a portion. As usual, they will not concede the whole thing unless they have no choice. So this big chunk here is 3.7 square kilometers. There's nothing really much to talk about other than it's a square, and then the Ukrainians just say that, oh, this chunk of 3 lines is now under Russian control. That's all. Totally ignoring that this entire thing is a salient. How does this work? I'm not sure. Let me see. I can show you the deep state UA map. So deep state UA's map. I just want to show you that this is what they draw. This is what they draw. But the reality is that Volskranka have geolocation of Russian forces inside of it. They did not want to tell their followers that Volskranka is captured. We have given the capture since the 15th of July. That's coming to a week. So the capture is already confirmed for a week. The Ukrainian forces draw it like this, but they cannot concede that they have lost Volskranka, because if they consider this, then this entire ruse, this entire nonsensical salient cannot be worked. So if they map it like this, then clearly this is an encirclement, and this is exactly what I've said. That is an encirclement. They have mapped themselves into a corner. Like, they could have just considered Volskranka, but no, because they cannot. You cannot concede that you have lost grounds. So they rather say that they have lost 3 lines, but then when we compile the 2 mappings together, the information together, it looks stupid. These impossible salients are impossible. This is an encirclement. This is not even a salient at all. This is an encirclement. They themselves map it like here. We have geolocation confirmed that the Russians are here. In fact, the last geolocation is on the 19th. This is 100% Russian control. So this salient here, we're just waiting for the whole thing to collapse, and it's just going to become some very huge frontline change. This width is basically it's almost like a 2x2 square. Yeah, it's a 2x2 square. Very arbitrary. This is a 2x2 square. So anyway, that's the frontline change here. So as I said, the constipation is starting to release, but they don't dare to release it. They're still holding it back because they haven't reached the toilet. They're still trying to hold it. They're trying to squeeze the glutinous muscles and then try to speed walk to the toilet. Haven't reached the toilet, you cannot release, but it's already coming out. It's already staining the underwear. So anyway, the north of this area here, so instead of conceding this area, they concede that the Russians have actually expanded the zone of control in this tentacle. So this tentacle apparently here is so thin, but here they have managed to expand and make it so big. So clearly this is no logic. This is an impossible situation where you have such a small little neck and have such a big head. Yeah, so this is a impossible situation. North to south frontline change is around almost 2 kilometers, 1.8 kilometers. East to west is also 2 kilometers. So this is a 2x2. Actually, in fact, it's like a 2x2, but they map it in the most minimal possible way. This entire area, there's no more Ukrainian forces. From my analysis, they have already abandoned the position. So this is just just do coloring. You tell your children to I can't do color book. No, they just do color. Yeah, this is so that this is what we're gonna do for the next few days. That is just gonna be coloring, coloring all of this red. Yeah, slowly. So after the frontline change over at Oleksandrov, south of Volskranka, there is also updates. So these are all Ukrainian mapping. Ukrainians have updated the map to show that this region here is also closed, because this is also a salient, which is rather impossible. So this area here is now closed. And if you look at the front line previously, it was like this. And clearly this is an impossible salient. It's not very impossible, but quite impossible. So the Ukrainians have updated to show that this area here is taken by the Russian forces. And let me guess, this is going to be a 2x2 too. So let's see. So so this north to south here is 1.3 kilometers. East to west to the deepest point is 2.4. It's actually bigger than 2.2. And this older chunk is 1.3 kilometers deep. So this is a very big piece. So of frontline change in the north of Shvchenko. So the Russians straightening the front line in this sector here. And basically these are all the frontline changes. I think I've covered everything. So this, like I said, this is a very big report. There's so many frontline changes in the span of 24 hours. So 20 minutes. Frontline changes usually don't go this long. So so let's do some calculation. And for those that complain the video is too long, what you want me to do? You want me to lie to you? Like, sometimes it's very funny. People like want me to do certain things in a certain way, but the only way to do that is by lying. But you guys follow me because I don't lie, right? So why you want me to lie? Like, so anyway, or you want me to gaslight you? No, yeah, Ukraine is winning. So anyway, so let's do some calculation. The Ukrainians did not capture anything in the past 24 hours. It's a 0. And then we calculate, so you can see there's only 4 front lines that is being updated, and this is already taking so long. So there are still other front line that active combat is currently happening. I believe that we are, there's definitely more frontline changes that we are not seeing being reported. So 11.15 plus 4.28 plus 5.47 plus 17.48. Total area captured is 38.38 square kilometers. 38.38 square kilometers. Yesterday was 20.61, and I believe 38.38 basically covers the previous 2 days of the lower frontline changes. So we are still averaging 20 square kilometers a day in terms of our reporting wise. So so definitely we are still on the same pacing. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think we haven't reached the full extent of my estimation of the Ukrainian collapse. We still have another month plus to go before we reach that stage. I think end of August will be the end of my estimation period, which is like 3 to 6 months, because I say 3 to 6 months. So the maximum is around at the end of August. So we are seeing the trending, right? We are seeing the trends that the Ukrainians are struggling more and more. So let's continue to monitor and see how this goes. So happy birthday to you if your birthday today. Thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next update.